Ukraine's counter-offensive has seen a slowdown in the 72nd week of the war as Russia's defenses entrenched as NATO allies pledged more heavy weaponry for the battle. Bakhmut's territorial advantage appears to have been significant. Ukraine's Deputy Defense Minister Hanna Maliar said Ukrainian forces had managed to capture the important heights above Bakhmut, placing their artillery at various Russian positions in the town itself. Our defenders have been keeping the entrances, exits and movements of the enemy through the city under fire control for several days, he wrote on Telegram. This advance may be related to the reported defeat of Russian troops at Klishchiivka, 2.2 miles southwest of Bakhmut. Geolocation footage showed Ukrainian troops had advanced into the western outskirts of Klishchiivka on Thursday, and this was later confirmed by a Russian military reporter. Ukrainian troops had been inching closer to the town as they advanced north and south of Bakhmut in an enveloping action. Video footage shows fighters from the 28th Separate Mechanized Brigade of the Ukrainian Armed Forces carrying out a successful attack, forcing the Russian occupiers to shamefully move to a more advantageous position. This was reported by the Telegram channel Region 22, publishing 2 videos of how a modern T-90 assault tank was destroyed during this time. First, he was hit by a barrage of ammunition, and then he was finished off by a successful release of a thermobaric grenade from an unmanned aerial vehicle. The blogger Necromancer in the comments under this video indicated that the tank was destroyed near Kurdyumivka, south of Donetsk. In another video, the 59th Separate Motorized Infantry Brigade of the Armed Forces of Yakov Handziuk, fighting near Donetsk, says its fighters destroyed an invader tank, releasing the relevant video. At the beginning of the video, it is shown how the rocket of the American Javelin anti-tank missile complex flies into the sky. Then there's the shot taken by the unmanned aerial vehicle, a direct hit on the tank, and it burst into flames. Ukraine's military said Russian troops carried out 65 airstrikes and fired at least 71 times from heavy rocket systems on Ukrainian troop positions and populated areas along the front during the previous 24 hours. On the southern front, the Ukrainian General Staff said its troops had advanced 4 miles during 5 weeks of counteroffensives. The 2 main branches of the offensive in the region aim to liberate the ports of Berdyansk and Melitopol in Zaporizhia. The Russian defenses in this area are very strong, Zelensky said in the interview, adding that he supported the previous counterattack, which did not give Russian troops time to attack. On the other hand, fighters of the White Wolves unit of the Special Operations Center A of the Security Service of Ukraine in one shift destroyed 2 tanks, a 152mm self-propelled artillery installation, Akatsiya, 4 armored personnel carriers, a radio war station electronic Pol-21, and 2 Russian invader trucks. The press service of the Security Service of Ukraine announced this on its own page on the social network Facebook, publishing a related video recorded by an unmanned aerial vehicle, which completely destroys enemy equipment, accurately dropping a rather large anti-tank cumulative grenade on it. The SBU also indicated that since the start of the full-scale invasion, the White Wolves had destroyed 400 enemy targets. In fact, the soldiers of the armed forces of Ukraine during the offensive operation in the Bakhmut direction destroyed the modernized tank T-90 from the Russian invaders. First, our defenders interfere with enemy vehicles, that is, either knock them out or blow them up on an anti-tank mine, after which they receive irreparable damage. It is clear that one or both tracks are torn off. After that, the pilot of Company Rarog of the 24th Separate Mechanized Brigade of the King Danilo Armed Forces finally destroys the tank with 2 FPV drones. Now it can't be fixed. Rarog announced this on its Telegram channel, publishing the relevant video. Meanwhile, Russia's defense ministry said the Wagner mercenary group, which staged a brief mutiny last month, was finalizing its arms surrender. In a statement accompanied by a video showing tanks, rockets, and other heavy weapons, the ministry said Wagner had delivered more than 2,000 pieces of equipment and more than 2,500 tons of ammunition. The Russian Defense Ministry said its troops had beaten back the Ukrainian advance near Bakhmut, with the battle made difficult not only by the intensity of the fire and daily fighting, but also by the topography. The contact line runs between the two hills. The General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces reported on July 13 that Russia had lost 236,040 soldiers in Ukraine since the start of the full-scale invasion on February 24 last year. This number includes the 510 casualties suffered by Russian forces over the past few days. For months before the failed uprising, Prigozhin accused the Ministry of Defense of keeping Wagner short on equipment and ammunition. After the failed uprising, Wagner's fighters were given the choice of signing with the Russian Ministry of Defense, joining Prigozhin in exile in Belarus, or returning home. Earlier on Wednesday, Belarus Interior Ministry said the country's special forces would conduct combat training with Wagner fighters, according to state media reports. It's unclear how many Wagner personnel have moved to Belarus. Fighters of the defense forces in the Kupiansk and Lymansk directions last days eliminated 28 and injured 120 Russian invaders. In addition, our defenders destroyed the enemy's armored group consisting of 3 self-propelled guns, 240mm Tulip and 2 152mm Acacias, a 122mm howitzer D-30, 2 infantry fighting vehicles, 5 unmanned aerial vehicles, kamikaze drones, and a field warehouse with ammunition, and the 7 cars that delivered them. Sergei Cherevity, spokesman for the Eastern Ukrainian Armed Forces Group, had this to say today, pointing out that the enemy raided our positions twice without success near Novoslivsky and once near Belohorivka. During the day, the invaders launched 11 air raids and 665 artillery strikes on the northernmost part of the front.